You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Friday, April 26th, and day 2 of the NFL Draft just ended with the 49ers finishing their day with 2 new draft picks, and I'm going to go over them right now. We've got a new corner for the 49ers. It is Renardo Green at 86 was the pick for the 49ers. And then not at 86. Renardo Green was not at 86. Let's see here. Typo. Pooney was at 86. Someone remind me. I think, Renardo Green was at 63. Sorry about that. 63, and then Pooney was at 86. I personally really like both of these picks for the 49ers. Now, if you think about the order in which they happened, let's just rewind to the start of day 2, right? We kind of figured that there'd be a run on wide receivers. There would be a run on some corners because there were a few guys available at the top of the draft and a few teams that would be needy for those positions going at the top of the second round. So, we saw some of those guys go in the early going of the draft. And we also saw a run on defensive tackles happen pretty early in the second as well. And that went pretty long. So what happened with that, you got a lot of tackles kind of falling on the board. A lot of guys that the 49ers could have been interested in. Kingsley Suamataia, who the 49ers kind of had been linked to in this process. He had a 30 visit with the Niners. Roger Rosengarten was available. And so if the 49ers wanted a tackle in the second round at 63, I think, they were probably feeling good being able to get someone there at 63, just because, again, there were so many mini runs on different positions that happened that had tackles falling, but then the runs on tackles happened, and then the 49ers didn't make a move. I think a lot of us were looking at the run on tackles happening in the second, and we figured if the 49ers want to tackle, if they want Kingsley, they can have him if they move up right here. And so at 63, actually, Kingsley is available. Despite other tackles going before, Kingsley is available, when the 49ers pick at I guess it wasn't 60. No, I'm thinking. So the second pick, I'm trying to remember. It's late. I'm tired. The second pick was the one that they traded up back one spot, right? Was it? No, it was the corner pick. So I think they traded back one spot with the Chiefs. Yeah, with the Chiefs. And then the Chiefs took Kingsley. So obviously the 49ers didn't want Kingsley because they had a chance to draft them right there if they wanted to. Ultimately traded that pick to the Chiefs. I don't know why people keep helping the Chiefs. I mean, the Bills in round 1 yesterday helped the Chiefs move up for Xavier Worthy. They did not need Xavier Worthy. I can tell you that. I mean, they just won the Super Bowl. Come on now. And the Bills of all teams helping them out is kind of crazy to me. But they get help there. Then the 49ers let them trade up one spot to 63 and let them go with Kingsley. Kingsley was a player who was linked quite a bit to the Chiefs. So I kind of knew that the Chiefs would be targeting Kingsley there. But again, clearly the 49ers did not have an interest in him. And so that's why you saw the 49ers let the Chiefs, pass them up for that pick. So the 49ers, in exchange for moving back I believe they gave up one of their fourth round picks in order to do that. And initially reported was that the 49ers got a fifth round pick back. I know the 49ers posted the trade details on their actual website. So let me actually confirm what the 49ers website says about the pick. Of course, there's a bunch of other stuff. Doesn't take me to the link I just clicked. So never mind. But yeah, originally it was reported that it was the 49ers got a fifth round pick back, which is great because the 49ers do well in the fifth round. But yeah, they get Renardo Green out of FSU at pick 64 because again they moved back one. And this is an interesting pick, I think. For one, corner was a need. So I don't think it surprised me at all that they went corner. But once again, I think the consensus was that Renardo Green could maybe be had later. I think there were other corners who were available at that point. But at the same time, reading about Renardo Green, I haven't watched his tape yet, but reading about him, and I knew a few people who were kind of high on him going into the process. I think it makes sense. So he had 14 pass breakups in 2023. That was most in the ACC. He's kind of known for his coverage on Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, as you guys know, one of the top wide receivers taken in this year's draft class. And, Neighbors had, Renardo Green had a hell of a time covering him. And so I'm sure you'll see a lot more of this on your timeline if you follow 49ers film buffs who are going to be sharing some of this because it is impressive. Definitely impressive to me. I mean, obviously this shows he has the ability to shut down NFL level receivers. So that's definitely a good sign. And this kid has a ton of confidence. I mean, just some of the quotes we were seeing, his post draft presser. He's the kind of delusional, confident corner that I want on my team. You got to have that kind of confidence, and that's definitely something that exudes out of Renardo Green. He also has the ability to play safety and nickel, which makes him a prime candidate. I know it's early, but it does definitely make him a candidate for Brandon Staley's star role. I said Brandon Staley like he's the defensive coordinator of the 49ers or something, but I mean, let's face it, he kind of is at this point. He definitely seems to have a lot of influence on the people on the guys that the 49ers have brought in via free agency, and I think in the draft as well. So I think Brandon Staley probably had a hand in Renardo Green as well, liked him as a prospect. And again, that versatility of being able to play anywhere in the secondary is definitely something that I think popped out to the 49ers. Definitely something that I think Brandon Staley would like for his defense. Like I said, early candidate to play that star position. He's very, very competitive. That's just one of the words that you see consistently with people describing Renardo Green's play. And so definitely fits in with the mold of, defensive players that the 49ers have. One of the quotes from the post-draft presser from Renardo Green, he said, quote, they fit me. They play like savages. They play like dogs. They hit. He was talking about the 49ers defense. He isn't wrong. And, again, he puts himself in that category. Again, exuding that confidence. I like it. So Renardo Green, definitely one of those guys who maybe one of the lesser known guys throughout this process, but also feels like someone who is going, a bit overlooked by some. I mean, he definitely has potential. Shout out Brad Graham, who, he had been mentioning Renardo Green on his Twitter for quite some time, posting clips on him, showing some right now. I mean, he's nice. You definitely see the tenacity that he plays with very physical. As I mentioned, the competitiveness is definitely something that pops out with him. So again, I think this is a kind of corner that the 49ers want to have, someone who's physical, someone that you can kind of leave on an island and trust, someone who can play man coverage. Maybe the 49ers want to move away from zone, um, which they've done quite a bit. And Hugh, yep, this is what I was saying. Star position, definitely think Renardo Green will be that guy. So yeah, I like the pick. Definitely warmed up to it. Now, I was also skeptical because I'm like, man, the 49ers need a tackle. And I'm like scratching my head a little bit because like there was a run on tackles. They had a chance at Kingsley. They could have taken another tackle as well. They could have moved up for someone else if they really liked any one of those tackles. Clearly they didn't. So I just wasn't understanding the vision there in my mind. I was like, man, they're really gonna go like without getting a tackle in this draft, aren't they? But like I said, they did address it, which does make me feel better about the draft as a whole, because now it's not something hanging over the head of this draft. I think the longer that kind of lingered of the 49ers not taking an offensive lineman, I think with each pick, you would just feel the angst of every 49er fan just feeling like that needs to be addressed, right? So they got that out of the way. They got their offensive lineman, like I said, Dominic Pooney. And so, definitely seems to be a good value pick for the 49ers at 86. He has a lot of positional versatility as well. Now, the 49ers would like to play him in the interior, so he has that experience. He played mostly tackle in college. He played left tackle, but he also played left guard, even right tackle. He played in Kansas. But again, the 49ers want to see him in the interior. So he'll probably be a guard for the 49ers at the next level. And this makes a lot of sense because I kind of like speculated that the 49ers maybe feel like guard is a bigger need than tackle. I mean, you just saw Colton McKivitz this offseason get an extension. It's not like a long-term extension or anything like that, but to me, it just tells me that they're comfortable with Colton McKivitz being their tackle. Now, the question mark is Spencer Burford. How comfortable do they feel with Spencer Burford? How comfortable do they feel with paying Aaron Banks an extension? This is Aaron Banks' final season, 2024, with the 49ers in his contract, I believe. So I don't think they're up to giving Aaron Banks the kind of guard contract that we've been seeing a lot of guards this offseason get. So what I think is most likely to happen, they're going to let Aaron Banks walk. Spencer Burford, maybe they let him walk too, because John Feliciano is only on a 1-year deal. So guard is a big question mark going forward for this team. And so I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they end this draft taking 2 interior offensive linemen and another guy who can also play guard. So Pooney, like I said, he could play left guard, he could play right guard. A lot of people figure he's going to be the right guard for the 49ers. I actually think he'll be playing left guard. Maybe not as soon as this year, maybe this year. I'll just say this. I think injuries can open up an opportunity for Pooney at either of the guard spots at some point this season. So that could be his opportunity. But long term, I think he might fit best as the left guard once the 49ers don't bring Aaron Banks back. But again, this is all just very early speculation. The other thing that's awesome about Dominic Pooney, he didn't allow a single sack last season. That is really impressive. And so definitely someone that the 49ers can use. I mean, like I said, he's a bit of a force on the offensive line. And he has a lot of experience as well, which here, I just wanted to go back really quick. I was looking at the Athletics draft guide. His draft grade was second or third round, and he was listed as the 5th top guard prospect. There were a few guys who went ahead of him, um, who were actually ranked after that I saw. And so again, just underlines a point that Pooney was pretty good value at 86 for what he was kind of projected, and where he was projected to go. 5.35, 40, 313 pounds, 6'5". So he's a big man, obviously, with these offensive linemen. They usually are, and the 49ers, you know, have a prerequisite for their offensive linemen for sure. And so he definitely fits that mold. A little bit different than the kind of guys they would typically like, but again, like they're definitely going for someone here that I think is safe, like and it's value. One thing that people were mentioning, shout out KP for pointing this out, Kyle Posey of Niners Nation. You had Ricky Pearsall, fifth-year senior. You have Renardo Green, fifth-year senior, and then you have Dominic Pooney, sixth-year senior. I was also pointing out the fact that at least for Pearsall and Renardo Green, they had no like major injuries that had them missing any games in college. And then you have uh, Pooney had an MCL surgery. He had a torn MCL in 2021, I believe, and that was the only thing I saw for him in college as far as injury goes. He did miss 9 games in 2021 due to that. But aside from that, like if you look at the experience that these guys have, you look at the fact that there aren't a lot of red flags as far as injuries with these guys. I feel very good about these picks. I think they're safe in that regard and they're NFL ready in that regard. These aren't dart throws. These aren't guys who need to sit and develop, right? I think these are guys who are ready, who have upside right away. And that's exactly what the 49ers need, right? And with their first 3 picks, the 49ers have addressed their 3 major needs. I mean, wide receiver, corner, and offensive line were their 3 biggest needs. Maybe it wasn't in the order that we expected it to go, but they did it in the first 3 picks. So I've come away very pleased so far with the way that this draft is going for the 49ers. I'm also pleased with the way that the draft is kind of falling as a whole. Like there's been a lot of runs on certain positions and certain positions that the 49ers don't need. Tackle was one that they did need, but they ended up getting their guy, so it doesn't even matter. But for the positions that they don't really need or don't really need to prioritize, for runs on those players to happen is great for the 49ers because then it gets talent falling for other positions. And so we saw that plenty today. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going great for the 49ers. The Ravens have benefited quite a bit from that as well. The Steelers have made some good picks too. But yeah, let me check in with the chat. Shout out all you guys. I know it's late. It's 10 here in Colorado as I record this. So I do have to wake up early, so I won't go live for too long. But obviously, I just wanted to update you on what the 49ers did in day 2. 49ers Throwback says, what a good draft it has been. Welcome, faithful. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Couldn't agree more, 49ers Throwback. Steve Rose says, each player chosen has had 5+ years senior experience. Lesson learned. Yes, experience is so important. And I think they did realize that too with acquiring Brock Purdy and seeing how he was able to step up and immediately be a guy for them. That had to do with the experience he had in college, and he had so much of it. So for these guys again to have that experience in college, I think is huge. They are ready. So the 49ers don't have to twiddle their thumbs. They don't have to wait for these guys to develop. Quite frankly, the 49ers don't have time to develop. I don't even know if they have the resources to develop these guys into starters. These guys that they picked today and Ricky Pearsall yesterday, these 3 guys are ready. So you don't have to wait for them. I think they're ready. I think all three of these guys can start this season. I don't know if they will, but I think they could. So I feel really great about that. Technic Chic said Lynch didn't mention Kingsley in the group. They were interested at the end of the second round, but he did mention Rosengarten, who went one pick before to the Ravens. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear the 49ers weren't interested in drafting Kingsley just because they had that opportunity. They traded back. They didn't want him. But also the fact that they traded back could maybe suggest that Rosengarten, who, yeah, did go right before to the Ravens, would have been someone the 49ers would have taken there. I definitely think he was someone that the 49ers were interested in. So we'll just have to, I mean, chalk it up, man. Again, I'm not too upset in hindsight just because I think the 49ers got a good tackle, or sorry, just like a good offensive lineman regardless. So, I'm happy about it. I think it's fine. And, again, Pooney gives them some versatility as well, as did Rosengarten. So I think that was something they definitely, wanted. And so again, they get good value. They get a guy who gives them that same, um, you know, versatility. So I can't be too mad. Hugh says Pooney at right guard and Feliciano at center. That could be a possibility. I don't see Jake Brendel going anywhere. So, and Feliciano is only on a 1-year deal. So Brendel, for example, I think is signed through 27. Something crazy. Like he's signed through something crazy. There are outs in his contract, so it's unlikely that he makes it that long, obviously. Um, so but yeah, I don't see Jake Brendel going anywhere. So I'm not sure if Feliciano would move positions. I have him penned in at right guard. But there could be a competition there. Like come training camp, I wouldn't be surprised if Pune could beat out Feliciano. I mean, anything could happen at this point. And I don't think the 49ers, if he looks ready, should hesitate in making him a starter right away. You need a guy who has that experience. Yeah, 49ers throwback mentioned Pooney hasn't allowed sacks the past 2 years, not just 2023, but 2022 as well, or quarterback hits. That's kind of crazy. Like, that's almost hard to believe. Like, that's kind of suspect. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Has he really not allowed a sack in that long? That's exactly what the 49ers need, man. That's really impressive. Hugh Wilkins asks, "How do you like the talent in the fourth and fifth rounds?" I like it. I do think the 49ers could go wide receiver again. And if they do, I like Javon Baker. I do think right now there's also some guys that kind of falling, like Austin Booker, edge rusher. Brandon Dorlus is still out there. Another guy, like he's someone who can play outside and inside. They like those guys with versatility. So I know they brought in a lot of new defensive linemen this offseason, but we know the 49ers. They can always use some more. And if you look at some of those deals from this season, a lot of them were 1 to 2 year deal. So definitely is still a longer term need for them. So yeah, I would definitely say that Brandon Dorlus could be an option. Also the edge rushers like Booker. Did I mention Javon Baker? Yeah, I think I mentioned Baker. Yeah, Malik Washington could be another option as well. They could go tight end at some point. They could go linebacker at some point. Cedric Gray is still available. And so there's definitely there's definitely some options for them. And I'm liking how it's shaking out. Now, if I had to put money on something, I think the 49ers probably draft Sione Vaki at some point if the pack Packers, if the Patriots don't. I think I saw that the Patriots were very interested in him. I know the 49ers are interested in Vaki, so you know, uh, those two might duel it out for him. I'm not 100% sure what the 49ers see his role being. Do they see him as a running back or do they see him as a safety? I don't know, but definitely, I just do know that that's someone the 49ers like. Tanner Bortolini, I was talking about him with Rob right before this show. Could definitely be an option for the 49ers. He is a center, and we're just talking. He's a center who has the ability and experience of calling protections at the line, something that, Kyle Shanahan asks his centers to do currently. So Bortolini, with that experience, would be a pretty nice to have. And I think he's one of the better value centers still available in this draft. I also expect the 49ers to go safety at some point. Again, Vaki could be an option there, but there's other guys who are available. Dadrion Taylor Demerson is an option. Going back to going back to the tight ends, like there's quite a few options. Jared Wiley is still there. AJ Barner. There are names. So I'm excited about who's still available and the 49ers being able to get some really good value in the draft. And they still have some picks that, I think they're in position to trade up for someone if they want. So it's definitely still in the cards for them. So as far as the picks that they have going into day 3, they have round 4, pick 124, pick 135. They had a third, 4th round pick, but that is one of the picks they used to trade up for Dominic Pooney with the Eagles. And like I said, I was still trying to clarify if the 49ers got a 5th round pick back for trading back with the Chiefs. So tentative on what number pick that is, but I need to confirm that. But they do have a 176 in the 5th round. They have 2 6th round picks and a 7th round pick. I don't know if they need all those picks, so I would expect a lot of movement in day 3 for the 49ers. Shout out Weston, man, my Monday co-host, tuning in. I know it's late on the East Coast, man. For the East Siders, this is very late, so shout out Weston for tuning in and for the donation as well. Appreciate you, man. Steve says, look for them to trade their 6, 7 to move up in the 4th and 5th. Yeah, I definitely could see that. I think the 49ers are buying into the we draft really good players in the 5th round thing. Like maybe they're feeling like it's superstitious about it at this point, and they just want more 5th round picks. I really do think that could be the case for them. So, and also along with John Lynch's comments on Monday about how, the options later in the draft weren't going to be as good because so many players who, were expected to declare for the draft ended up going back to college. So the depth in this class probably not that great. So yeah, they're going to be active, I think, to get up early in day 3. Wouldn't surprise me if a lot of teams have the same idea. So we'll see how much success they have with that. But yes, they definitely have the picks to move around the board as they wish. Hugh says, I thought they got a 5th from the Chiefs for our 6th. In that trade back with them, they traded a 4th to move up for Pooney. Okay, yeah, I need to see the final numbers. So maybe some of the numbers I gave were wrong. But all that to say, the 49ers have picks to play with for day 3. So the point still stands that I think they're going to be moving up and down the board. Steve says Kyle will have his red underwear on for the 5th round. I don't know what it is about the 5th round, but they got some juju going, some good juju. So if they're superstitious about it at this point, hey man, I think I am too. So let's just pick all our picks in the 5th round, to be honest. All right, y'all. We just hit the 30-minute mark. I am beat. I just finished a 2-hour live with Rob right before this. We went live for the 49ers 2 second round picks. It was a fun show. It's on my channel if you guys didn't check that out. I also did a show with a Florida Gators content creator, Brandon Olson, host of Locked On Gators. So we talked about Ricky Pearsall. He gave me the lowdown on him. It's just a short, 30-minute show, but I came away from it, feeling really good about that pick and very optimistic about what he could be with an offense as good as the 49ers, with a quarterback as good as Brock Purdy. It's going to be a great fit. So make sure you guys check that out if you haven't yet. Make sure you like this video if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Audio listeners, leave a review, leave a rating. Let me know what you think about the draft picks so far. I might go live tomorrow. Not really sure. But just make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I go live. Steve says you can sleep well tonight. No running backs or kickers. Oh, thank God. I'm going to be dreaming about, what this 49ers offense and defense will look like this year. And I definitely won't be thinking about special teams as I go to sleep tonight. But all right, y'all. I appreciate you guys tuning in. For now, have a good rest of your Friday, folks. Sleep well. Peace.